I'd like to recognize the gentleman out of New York, Mr. Langworthy, for 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Ranking Member Scott. Dr. Stover, as you know, farmers and ranchers have the opportunity to work alongside the retail community through programs such as GusNIP. These programs are a win for local businesses and farmers. In New York State alone, more than 100,000 families have utilized the program. Over 5.2 million pounds of produce have been sold, and the economic impact on farmers in our communities has totaled more than $8.3 million. Constituents receiving benefits in my district are able to increase the number of fruits and vegetables being consumed through these incentives at certain retailers. What role do you believe incentive programs play in supporting the health of SNAP participants?
Oh, I believe both education and incentive programs are absolutely essential. The intersection of health, if you want food to promote health in the population, it's an intersection of the food environment, the food that's available, and then the ability of the consumer to make the healthful choice. And we need to work on both of those, and that's a very innovative program, and we have to make sure that we get the food environment right and that we have, agency within individuals, the ability, the knowledge to make the right choices.
Dr. Rashidi, I'd like to open this question up to you as well.
I do think incentives play a role, but I do think we have to be clear about the evidence around GusNIP. It did marginally include vegetable purchases, but it was fairly small. So if we're thinking about the problem of diet quality, an incentive program like GusNIP, while useful, is not really going to be a game changer. I will add there were some comments about restrictions. I agree. I don't necessarily like telling people what they should eat or what they should not eat. I just believe that a taxpayer-funded program like SNAP, billions of dollars, of federal dollars, taxpayers should not be subsidizing poor diet and poor health. So I think there's a role for incentives, and I think there's a role for restrictions.
Thank you. Ms. Royal, no one's been immune to skimming, but it is particularly bothersome when a household in need falls victim to criminal activity. Now, while some congressional action has been taken in the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2023, it may have simply provided a roadmap for bad actors. Ms. Royal, from a national perspective, can you tell me more about skimming and how we as policymakers can stop it?
Skimming is an attack on benefits. It's a way to use technology to recover information and then use that information to drain SNAP accounts. Ways to prevent it, a lot of the skimming instances also arise from recipients using the simple password, the 1234, the 111. Again, those sequential passwords. Making sure, putting in mandates that we can't use 1234. And I realize that comes with complications, but when we're talking about draining an EBT card versus complications in requirements on PIN numbers, it seems to be an easy trade.
Very good, thank you. Switching over to food waste, Mr. Hodel, across the U.S., almost 40% of our food is wasted. That's 130 billion meals worth almost $408 billion. I and a lot of my colleagues, we're concerned about the cost of addressing hunger. Can you talk a little bit more about how food banks like yours work with grocery stores and other sources to capture food that might otherwise go to waste, and where can we work to do more of that?
Yeah, so thank you for the question. Again, we have a procurement director, we've got logistics folks that they're very tied in. And we know when a grocery store especially, or a supermarket or distribution center has food that's in excess, or they need to get it out of there. So that's one of our driving forces is we have a fleet of trucks, we have drivers, we have access to trucking companies across the country so that we can quickly remove that from their business. They're trying to run a business. And we're able to quickly capture and rescue that and bring it into our facilities. We've invested heavily in our facilities with freezers and coolers so that we can bring that in. And then we have a variety of distribution models. So not all agencies are created equal. We have small to large. We have local versus more distant. So again, we have different distribution models so that when we get something in, that we can quickly turn it out to those agencies, that they can get it to their food recipients. I think an incentive or a promotion is carbon credits. As we think about how much are we rescuing that is not going to a landfill? And then how do we reward and incentivize those companies and give them credit for the reduction in carbon?
Thank you very much for the testimony from all the witnesses. And Mr. Chairman, I yield back.